Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Joydeep Shodungi, Associate Professor, Department of English, Jogesh Chandra Chaudhary College, University of Calcutta, Kolkata. We are into Module 10, Development of Comedy in the Middle English Period. This module is written and prepared by Dr. Gargi Talapatro, Bhavanipur Education Society, Kolkata, West Bengal. Friends, in this particular module, we are going to learn the traces of evolution of English comedy during the Middle English period. We have had understanding of the temper and the sentiment of the age. We have also understood the adaptability and the associated images, audience, theatre type, and the performance and the society of the Middle English period. Now, this is the time that we are going to trace out the evolution and development of Middle English drama with special reference to comedy. Comedy in English drama originated gradually with the secularization of drama and the introduction to the vernacular in order to represent the familiar components of the contemporary society. Through the medieval ages, the comic elements on the stage came to be shaped and nurtured in the forms like miracles, moralities, and interludes. Drama as a form of literature has always represented and responded to social needs and the changing social structure of the particular notion or nation to which it belongs. The development of comedy in English drama can be traced back to the medieval English society. Since thus, comedy became a form of actually enabled the scope of originality in English drama, even while operating within the restricted framework of miracles and moralities. As it came under the classical and Latin influences, with the passage of time and space, it evolved as a complete form in itself. Thereby, it prepares the stage for the Elizabethan audience and performance. Friends, we should have a feel of the social background of the time. Now, possibly you have understood that the drama moved out of the control of the church and was taken up as a form of entertainment carried out by the emerging trade guilds. As English drama moved out from the miracle to the morality, the comic gradually came to be manifested in the ludicrous behavior of the views. However, the comic elements in English drama became more pronounced with the evolution of the interludes. Addressing directly the social and political context of medieval England, the interludes provided a space to contextualize the comic elements with respect to the contemporary society. The actual development of comedy as a form was influenced by the classical writers like Plautus and Terence. And in this particular context, we can really refer to the Italian forms of comedy such as comedian erudite, commedia dell'erudite. Please forgive me for my Latin pronunciations. Friends, comedy in miracle plays. The very first instances of comic interventions in English drama can be classified and traced back to the miracle plays, enacted on the medieval stage and known as pageant plays. Having moved out of the church, the miracle plays provided the actors and the guilds with an opportunity to incorporate more elements from the contemporary society rather than restricted to the church affairs only. Amongst the 4 cycles of miracle plays, Chester, York, Wakefield, and Coventry we have discussed so far in our earlier modules. Friends, here is an example of a play during that time that is called Deluge, the Deluge. Here, the comic intervention in the biblical story of Noah is brought forth by the character of Noah's wife, who appears as an ill-tempered and aggressive woman. She refuses to enter the sea without the gossips of her town, and finally, when forced, slaps her husband. It is the probable folly of human nature and behavioral pattern which is used here to induce comedy. Next, Secunda Pastorum. Comedy is induced here through an innovative plot. The play progresses to show a third shepherd, Mac, and his wife, Gill, who carry out the entire episode of stealing a lamb. It is the deed and the final discovery of the same which functions as the comic element in the early play. Friends, now we should discuss at length about the comedy in morality plays. Based on the theme of Psychomedia by Prudentius, the morality play reflects drama or more sophisticated audience, as the content of the plays now shifts away from the stories of the Bible towards the allegorical journey of human soul through the realms of life. The scope of humor in these plays is seen to strengthen gradually amidst the most moral-based Christian doctrines of sin, repentance, redemption, and the comic elements introduced mainly through the behavior and the characteristics of the negative forces acting upon the human soul. Such scenes greatly influence the interludes and gradually led towards completely the comic representation of the vices. Gradually the vices were seen and became stock figures in morality plays. One example is Mankind. Friends, we should have at some length discussions on Mankind. Mankind is a play that depicts the struggles of central character Mankind between good judgment and temptations to sin. So again is a stereotype concept. The protagonist is misled by Titivius to follow the worldly temptations. Comic elements are introduced in the play through the characters of Not, New Guys, Mischief, and Nowadays. Just before the entry of Titivius, the devil, New Guys, and the Nowadays decide that this is the perfect moment to collect money from the audience, and turning towards them, they hold out, collecting a bag. Then friends, comedy in the interludes. A major change in the socio-political picture of England which took place in the 17th century, which brought forth by Reformation and the advent of Protestantism. It is a natural fact that drama as representation of life and society on stage. This becomes evident that the interludes written during the 16th century became didactic in tone, which became political propaganda, sociological documentation of the time. The abstractions of the morality plays were now contextualized in contemporary society. Some significant examples of the plays are John Hewd, who wrote some important interludes like the play called The 4BPP, the play of the weather, and a merry play between Johann the husband, Twive his wife, and Satan the priest. Now a little bit about the play called the 4PP. The play called 4PP is written in the year 1530 and is written in the form of a dialogue between a palmer, a pardoner, a apothecary and peddler who indulge in telling of lies. It is a palmer who eventually responds to a tale told by the pardoner and says how he has never seen once a woman out of patience who emerges triumphant. It is interesting to note that here the characters included are from various walks of life, familiar to the contemporary society, and humor is attained through satire upon the follies of human nature. Johann is a comic effect achieved through characterization and which is marked distinctly in the merry play between Johann Judge's husband, Twelve, his wife, Sir Ihan the priest. A story of a husband, wife, and a priest. Comic effect is here achieved through the character of husband who finally sits burning the fingers over the fire as his wife and the priest consume the pie. Friends, the beginning of the 16th century of English comedy. By the time we have understood the evolution and growth of English drama, now we are into the beginning of the 16th century. What might be called the first actual beginning of English comedy took place in the 16th century England under the influence of the humanists. According to the spirits of the Renaissance, the humanists discovered the texts and the authors of the ancient civilizations and started translating the same into English. The scholars in the universities studied the Latin masters, even those who were not familiar with the language had translations of these classics available at hand. It is here that English drama came to influence with the part of Plautus and Terence. This influence took place in two directions. Firstly, they provided an idea regarding the mechanism of working out complete plot, and secondly, they redefined the art of characterization. Apart from the classical writers, a major influence on the development of a comedy in England, that two schools of drama produced by the Italy in the time of the Renaissance. Number one, Commedia erudita and Commedia dell'arte. It continued to influence English comedy through the 16th and the 17th centuries. In the previous modules we have already discussions about the first English comedy, Ralph Roister Doister by Nicholas Adele. Ralph Roister Doister stands out as the first complete comedy written in English. The central character is Roister Doister. The figure of the comic vice of English morality tradition is transformed to acquire the character of Matthew Marigix, who is no longer an attendant to the devil but a boastful protagonist. The plot of the play moves around a rich widow Christian Constance and to engaged in a merchant named Gavin Goodluck. Ralph Roister, being incited by a friend, tries to woo Christian Constance. However, he does not succeed. He then tries to break them apart by force, but ultimately is defeated and elopes. The play ends with a happy note. Then, friends, there is another comedy of importance called Gamma Gutton's Needle by Mr. S. The story of the play moves around the loss of Gamma Gutton's needle and the consequent intrigues and the jealousies. The needle is eventually discovered by the deacon of the Bedlam, the central comic character in the play. Interestingly, Deacon embodies a blend of comic portrayal of the medieval vice and the classical parasite. Nevertheless, through his mannerisms, his rustic background, country dialect, naturalistic dialogues make him thoroughly an English character. Friends, supposedly by the George Gascoigne, It is an adaptation of Ariosto's Suppositi in 1519, an Italian comedy of intrigue. The play remains noteworthy not only to the content but also to the medium. Until now, the medium of comedy in English drama had been largely verse. From the mysteries to the moralities and then to the interludes, plays were so far written in some of other stanzaic form. It was with poesy English comedy transcended the material medium, altogether attained the first comic play written in prose. The story of the play is based upon the central character Ariosto, who changes place and the servant in order to win the love of Polynesta. Friends, to conclude this particular module, we must say that in this module we have traced back the development of English comedy in the Middle English period. We have had discussions on three major texts during this time. We have also had enough discussions on the features and the tendencies of growth and the sociological and political background of staging these plays in time. On the whole, the development of comedy during the Middle English period had cast a spell on the drama proper in the days to come. For useful links, please have a look on the screen.
Here beginneth a treatise, whole that heia fara opeven sendeth deitha, to somon avri creatura, to coma and give conta of vera lives in this world, and is in manner of a moral playa. I praia o give your audience, and hear this matter with reverence. Be figure a moral playa, the summoning of every man, whole it is, that of our lives unending, shall this how transitory way be all day. This matter is wonders precious, but the intent of it is more gracious, and sweeter to bear away. The story saith man in the beginning, look well and take good heed to the ending, be y'all never so gay, ye think a scene in the beginning full sweet, which in the end causeth the soul to weep. When the body lieth in clay, here shall y'all say how fellowship and loyalty, both strength, pleasure, and beauty, will fare from the as floor in Maya. For ye shall hear the whole of Havana king calleth every man to a general reckoning. Give audience and hear what he doth say. God speaketh. I perceive here in me majesty, how that all creatures be to me unkind, living without dread, in a worldly prosperity, of ghostly seek, the people be so blind, drawn in sin, thy now may not, but our God in worldly riches is all thou mean. Thy fairly not me reap witness the sharp word. Me lower that is surely one, before them yet. Thy forget the kleiner and shedding of me blood red. I hunger between a twelve, it cannot be denied. To get them life is afraid to be dead. I hele där feta with thorns hurt was me head. I kolde då normal, dan I dera traule. An nå I selve pepla då klena forsaka mig. Thy usa the saving deadly scenes dam habla. As preda catiesa groffa an lechari. No in the welda beamada commendabla. On thus thy leva of angelis the heavenly compania. Every man liveth so after his own pleasure, and yet of their life why be nothing shall. I say the more that I vain forbear, the worse thy be frugal toil, all that liveth uproarious fast. Therefore I will in all the haste have a reckoning of every man's persona, for and I leave the people thus alone in their life and wicked tempests. Verily thy will become much worse than beasts, for no one world be anve another upet. Charite thy do all kleine forgeta. I hope it well that every man and me glory should make his mansion, and that I had them all electe. But now I see like traitors diecte. Thy thank me not for the pleasure that to them meant, nor yet for thy buying that I them have learnt. I preferred the people greatly, multitude of mercy, and fairly that be that asketh it heartily. Thy be so cumbered with worldly riches, that needs on them he must do justice on every man living without the fear, where art thou, death, thou mighty messenger, death. Almighty God, I am here at your will, your commandment to fulfill. God, call thou to every man, and shall him in me name a pilgrimage he must on him take, which he in no wisdom escape, and that he bring with him a sure reckoning, without delay or only daring. Death. Lord, I will in the world go reign over all, and crawl out, search both the great and small. Every man will be set that liveth bestly, out of God's laws, and readeth not fully. He that loveth riches, he will strike off med that. He seeks to blind, and for heaven to depart, except that all must be his God a friend, in hell for to dwell a world without end. Lo yonder is a every man walking, full little, he thinketh on me coming. His mind his own fleshly lusts, and his treasure on greater pine each shall cause him to wander. Therefore the Lord heaven King, every man stand still, whither art thou going? Thus gladly hast thou the make forget.